When you think of fantastic beasts, the first thing that comes to mind is the Niffler. It's so cute and has become such an important part of the franchise. Naturally, this creature doesn't exist in the real world and had to be animated for the films. Though there is a real-life connection between the Niffler and the animal world, as explained by visual effects supervisor Christian Manz. Speaking to Entertainment Weekly, Christian said the following: "One of the big inspirations was the honey badger. We saw some great footage of a honey badger raiding somebody's house with a completely insatiable desire to find food, and nothing would get in its way. Of course, the honey badger became an infamous internet meme after a viral video showed off its total badassery. Here's a clip to remind you of why this animal is the best."
Now the honey badger is just going to pass out for a few minutes, and then it's going to get right back up and start eating all over again because it's a hungry little bastard.
It isn't too hard to draw the comparisons between the honey badger and the Niffler here. At the same time, the animators created specific expressions for the creature to show its connection with Newt. In other words, it's made cuter so that we know it's meant to be received as friendly. Though, don't leave any shiny things laying around because the Niffler has sticky paws. If you're wondering why most of the beasts in Fantastic Beasts look so familiar, that's because they intentionally are. Visual effects guru Tim Burke, who worked on both films, explained that there was a need for the magical creatures to be designed in a way that they could be mistaken for real-life animals. But why, you may ask? It's simple, really. That's how they're able to live among muggles for so long. Imagine a muggle spots something that looks otherworldly in the park. They'll definitely be asking a lot of questions and wondering if wizards do in fact exist. Even the gigantic zoo had to have some resemblance to the real world, though if you did spot one, you'd certainly know it must be a magic beast. To create this spectacular creature, the animators needed to bed down a few things beforehand.
One of the animation artists built it and animated it and got it moving.
Then they had to use some specific reference points to bring the movements and unique look to life. For the body movement, they analyzed how lizards move around and used that as a template, while cat-like facial expressions played a part in the look of the creature's face. Meow. Then for the head and tail movements, the animators took inspiration from the Chinese dragon parades. And for the scenes where Newt needed to interact with Zowo in close-ups, the team pulled out the oldest trick in the book, a green man holding a prop to let the actor know where he should be aiming his actions and lines. Needless to say, the final creature came out looking as one of the best pieces of CGI in the entire film series, wouldn't you say? Another fantastic beast from the crimes of Grindelwald that everyone is familiar with is the sea creature, Kelpie. And there's a terrific scene where Newt actually rides it. Of course, since it isn't real, actor Eddie Redmayne wasn't able to physically hop on it like it's a horse or something. Though there was some clever movie magic used to make this intricate scene come to life here. Eddie did dive into a green-colored water tanker set that allowed for the CG effects to be added afterwards. While Kelpie was mostly animated in post-production, there was the need to see Eddie ride her in some of the close-up shots. For this, he actually mounted a puppet rig underwater that was then replaced by the creature's 3D model afterwards. But do you want to know which was the hardest part of the scene to shoot? Eddie's underwater footage. As he revealed to Today, "I never dived before. The amazing thing about these films, you get the best experts in the world. I was sent with a free diver to learn how to hold my breath for hours in prep for the film." So there you have it, folks. Sometimes you just can't fake it, and Eddie had to bring some real magic into the scene. Okay. Speaking of faking it, how did Fantastic Beasts manage to recreate 1920s New York City so accurately? While it's easy to get classic cars and costumes to add to the aesthetic, how was that world from that era with all its finer details made? In much the same way as the creatures, through CGI. In fact, nearly all of it was computer generated apart from the basic set, from the backgrounds to the buildings and even the doors. Chatting about the experience to Entertainment Weekly, Eddie Redmayne explained what set apart this production from the others that rely on CGI. He said, "I've done CGI films where the whole world is green and you have no context. What's amazing is the amount of puppeteers or dancers or people you work with who will then not be there. The trick here is that the filmmakers built a basic set that allowed the actors to still immerse themselves in the world. But the cityscape and all the extra bells and whistles were added in post-production to make this all seem like a throwback to a different era." Well, it certainly convinced us, that's for sure. Apart from New York, one of the most magical places is the Goldstein apartment. Nothing seems to work here like a regular home where everything has a mind of its own, including the preparation of the food. Imagine how much time you'd save making dinner and washing dishes if you had some magic in your home too.
Sorry, but I do have things to do, actually.
Speaking of food, the making of the Applestrudel was an ambitious effort for the visual effects team. This had to be built using custom effects with lots of shading, displacement, and animated texturing. The preparation of the ingredients had to look and react as if they would if it were real. As a result, the effects team had to A, figure out how Applestrudel is made, and B, analyze every step of the preparation and what happens. If the strudel was cooked crisp, they needed to replicate it on screen. Once this was done, then they would be able to make things fly around on screen. But first it was important to get the proverbial science down. Well, judging by the fact that we were all hungry when we saw the Applestrudel on the table, it's safe to say that this was a job well done. The death cell scene certainly got our hearts racing. There was just so much tension in the air and you just didn't know if Newt and Tina were gonna make it. There's one particular scene where Tina needs to leap across to Newt, who sends one of his fantastic beasts to act as a platform for her. The thing is, if she misses or falls, it's bad news for her. Turns out it was quite a fun scene to film for the actors as it mixed both visual and practical effects. A set was created for the chair and where Newt stood, and there was a gap between them. Granted, it wasn't particularly big or dangerous, nor was it filled with liquid. The filmmakers held out a platform for actress Katherine Waterston to walk across with some padding on the floor in case she fell in the process. Then everything CGI was added afterwards in post-production. Looks like a lot of fun to us. Now, are you ready to have your mind really blown? Well, sit down and put on a helmet because you aren't gonna believe what was actually CGI in The Crimes of Grindelwald. At this point in the timeline, Dumbledore doesn't have the Elder Wand yet. That only comes much later.
I've heard the rumor.
Yet, when J.K. Rowling looked over the footage for The Crimes of Grindelwald, she noticed that the wand that Jude Law held looked an awful lot like the Elder Wand. Being the author of these stories, she immediately spotted that something wasn't right here. It was a big plot hole and asked the filmmakers to fix it. To reshoot all these scenes would have been way too expensive, so they just used some computer wizardry to change up the wand. Eddie Redmayne confirmed this did happen, stating the following. They then had to CGI out that wand for quite a substantial amount of the film. It was replaced with, I think, actually the most beautiful wand of all. It's very sculptural. Imagine if CGI could fix the little mistakes we make every day, like failing to put on the same colored socks. Some people have all the luck and magic in the world. And since we're all in a magical mood right now, let's catch up on some of the weirdest things cut from the Harry Potter books in this spellbinding video. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.